While we still wait the latest upcoming news about who Arsenal are going to sign, it definitely seems like in some ways we are active in the transfer market, however by sales. In this video we're going to go through why Oleksandr Zinchenko is one of a couple of players rumoured to be leaving the club and why this is actually a good thing for the future. So let's get into it. Now, like I just said, a lot of you will probably know by now that Oleksandr Zinchenko is in advanced talks to be joining Borussia Dortmund for a loan, I think with an obligation to buy for around 20 million euros, which means we will lose money on Zinchenko, but we also will get it in the summer without him leaving now. Now, first of all, talking about Zinchenko, I do think that this is ultimately the right decision. We've been complaining for weeks about the depth that we have, and we have too many left backs within the squad. In some games, we even have 4 or 5 players that can play left back within the team. It is the one position you could probably allow players to leave right now if we get good offers, because they are going to have to leave in the summer anyway. Now, Zinchenko has been a brilliant servant of this club, and I don't want that to be disregarded. Unlike people like Jesus when he's come in and got injured, Zinchenko when he first joined the club was so better on the ball than anyone we had in the defence. I felt like that he really just brought something different to us. He was the first person that really got that inverting style into our play and gave us the confidence to really start controlling games instead of it being very topsy-turvy like it was before. He's also one of the first people to really understand Arteta's system, be one of the first people that Arteta really trusted, and he invested in him. And ultimately, I think in that 22-23 season, Zinchenko was an incredible player for most of it. Of course, there was definitely times even in that season where he struggled defensively, but we knew what we were getting when we signed Zinchenko, and when he played, we got exactly that. He was a brilliant on-the-ball player and did help us tremendously. And it's crazy because even just the other day, I think Zinchenko had a relatively good game against Zagreb. I liked his overlapping. He's quite cross-heavy and did some good balls into the middle, and I felt like he complemented Martinelli very much a lot better, making the runs and giving Martinelli the space in where we wanted it as a team to be effective from them crosses, and Martinelli obviously did well to take people on in that game, which we have spoke about. Now, I will say it is quite clear, I think, from match-going fans and people online that Zinchenko probably isn't the most liked person in the club. Not only just because his on-the-field performances, I think defensively he has never really been good enough for Arsenal considering the physical level that we have to have, and in 1v1s especially out wide he is exceptionally poor, which isn't good enough. So just that sort of idea that he doesn't really understand what it means to be an Arsenal player. Now, I don't necessarily know if I really believe this or not. However, he has been a bit weird in interviews when he tells people a little bit too much, and he seems to be a lot more of a talker and a celebration merchant than really someone that is actually getting his head down and working on what he needs to every day, which obviously is an outside looking in perspective, but I definitely think that is fair to have of Zinchenko. But overall, I don't want to put too much on that because obviously everything that's been going on in his home country is definitely going to be on his mind for all these years, and Zinchenko has got his fair share of criticism, I think, over the time, not only at Arsenal but at Man City as well, where I think it's kind of fair enough. We all know his weaknesses. It's nothing that he's not really ever going to improve, and that is what it is. Now, I am happy with this sale in the end because I think it's another one of them situations where Arsenal got the money up front, or we're getting a loan obligation, but at least the deal is up front, and we know that that is the sale that we could happen. If we're going to make these sales in the summer, I think that especially in that left back spot where we can probably sell Zinchenko right now, to me it makes the perfect sense to get rid of him. It's not only going to give more minutes and more security to people like Marzo, Skelly, and hopefully Calafiori when he comes back. We've still got Tomiyasu to come back, Timber who can play there, Kivior and Tierney is still going to be there until the end of the season, so there's going to be options at all. Now, I also want to give a lot of credit to Zinchenko because I do think his role has been quite underrated between Arsenal fans and probably have a lot of big involvement on someone like Marzo, Skelly. This is one of the big reasons as well as people like Jorginho, I don't really want to leave this January. I'd rather him just leave in the summer. But Marzo Skelly literally plays the same role as Zinchenko, but he's more better defensively and more physical. But the way he inverts it into the middle has definitely been modelled over Zinchenko's style. And while he's in the academy, it's definitely easy as a coach to teach someone to play if they can see someone in the main team doing it. And I do think that deserves a lot of credit. Although I do think now, of course, Marzo Skelly is his time to kick on and probably move ahead of Zinchenko. Now, the fee as well, 20 million euros is good money. We've nearly recuperated all of it. He's on good wages as well, so getting them off our books is great. And he's a player that isn't bad, but it's a player that Arsenal have moved past, so there's no issues there. Now, another player that is rumoured to be leaving Arsenal, however, is someone called Ayden Heaven. Now, he was on the team for the Bolton and Preston game. He even came on in one of them and made his debut. And he has been a defender that has been touted very highly in the academy. He's only 18, he is very young. And there's been rumours that a lot of teams have wanted him him over the last couple of months. I think Frankfurt have been looking at him, but now Manchester United have come in and apparently have put some big offers down to get him. Now, this is quite annoying in some senses because Hell End is something we obviously want to protect and we want to keep these players and we don't want them to go to rival academies and rival teams. But in Heaven's situation, I think this is going to happen and we can't really stop it. We've given him a contract on the table for the last couple of months, it's been reported, and he has really not signed it. He's not really been very keen, it looks like, to sign that contract, which is probably down to the fact he can't really see himself breaking into our first team anytime soon. And as a defender, I've got to admit, it is pretty hard in our defense to break through. So I can understand him trying to look at his options and try to project the future a little bit. I can understand that when he's got that opportunity to do that, and I think there's nothing we can really say bad about that, because I do think that defensively we are so solid that it's incredibly hard. Miles Skelly is an incredible player, and only him as an exception has really broken to that defense recently, and in a sense that is because he brings so much on the ball for Arsenal. As a pure defender like Heaven, and even we saw Raul Walters had the same problem last year, not really going to get a time in his team because we expect so much on the ball from these players. So I'm not really too worried, but I think that is going to be something we have to consider. Now, the reason why this transfer news is very interesting particularly is because there has been reports that maybe Arsenal were doing a one in one out system like we were in the summer. Now, I get in the summer we were to do this because of financial reasons, I guess, but I still don't really understand why we felt the need to actually have this system in place, because a lot of people say, well, our squad was quite bloated, and it is in some ways, but it's actually very thin. A few years ago, Arsenal had a lot of deadwood players. When Arteta had to come in, he had to really filter the squad out of who he wanted and who he didn't. And now I just feel like our team is so thin. We've seen the injuries we've had this year and we're almost running on empty. So I don't really understand that one in one out system there. Now I don't mind that if it is Zinchenko to leave as another left back, we have about 4 or 5 of them, and to bring in a forward, which we actually do need for good depth. But it's yet to see if Arsenal are actually implementing this system for January and it's just talk. And this might just be another thing to get the fans as a confidence, because I do think now that we're moving further and further into the transfer window, I think there's 9 days left, I just find it increasingly unlikely day by day that Arsenal are going to make any signings. Now we are looking, and I do believe that we are looking to sign players, but I'm not sure that the market will really open up into a place where we don't have to spend, because we do have to spend to get any player that we really want. And unfortunately, I just do not really see the way that they're going to make that happen. Now there's options, you know, Cunha, Šeško, if you really push them, you probably could get them done, but they are going to cost. And I do understand it from some perspectives, because I do feel like Arsenal need to be a little bit careful, but I also think we need to take more risks with the money we have available. And I don't really like the notion of just throwing away seasons. I think a team of our ambition and our skill level that we have, and we've seen it in the Champions League how dominant we can be, it's not really fair to just throw away a season when people like Man City are not playing well. I just think ambition wise that is not where we should be looking at for the future. And I think right now Arsenal just needs some sort of lift in the fan base. Obviously we had a good win in the Champions League and we played Wolves at the weekend, but I think we just need something to actually keep us really going. We need a proper signing, even if it's just a youngster for right now like Nipan to come in. That could make us a little bit more confident that something else is going to happen down the line, because I think the issue is that Arsenal's forward line have been actually quite good the last couple of games. They've really been trying their best, I feel like, but there's no way that Trossard, Martinelli and Havertz are the most consistent players within the squad, and it's quite hard to rely on them all the time. And Raheem Sterling, I think, has pretty much shown that he is not viable to play at all. He is not good enough for our club in the given situation we're in, and he cannot even compete at this level anymore. I do not think he works for our team one bit, and I'd rather see Waneri play against him, which you may have to see a Waneri start against City on the 2nd of February. Anyway, let me know in the comments what you guys think about the Zinchenko and Heaven potential leaves, and who you think that they should be replaced by in this window. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next one.